more than anyone else how to fight the enemy ravaging the city. So they jumped to the planet, and he maneuvered through the heavy asteroid field that surrounded it. These asteroids usually had grav receptors on them that pushed them away from incoming ships, but it seemed the planetary defense grid was down. Punching through the thick atmosphere, the Goose rattled ever so slightly and raced to the nearest city. Static enveloped the cockpit, while Nyath tried to hail anyone below on the comms. Not a good sign, but if the planetary defense grid was down, then it was likely that the comms would be down as well. Melias guided the Goose to an open landing pad outside of Valus City, the planet's main port. A population of over 1 million called the city home, and that made this all the worse. As he flew overhead, the skyline was aglow in flame, and the gorgeous sky was choked by smoke. His stomach twisted at the carnage. He could only imagine what sort of hell was happening on the surface. That would become known to him and his own soon enough. No sooner had they touched down than he jumped from his seat and rushed to the hangar, where their gear and weapons awaited.
All hands to the cargo hold. Everyone gear up. The Goose is going on lockdown because we need everybody we can throw at the enemy.
Usually, he liked to leave Tomi, his resident android tech expert, or Vasya, his engineer, with the ship, in case they needed a swift exit during a mission. They might indeed need a swift exit here, but with the amount of people affected below, they couldn't afford to go without their full complement of fighters, gear, and weapons. Every one of his crew was fully capable. He had chosen them for a reason. They each had skills that were valuable in different ways, but compatibility was something they all possessed. It was hard to be a Sentinel without it. They were the Knights of Stars, the soldiers of the galaxy, who saved people where the spacefaring governments and militaries couldn't or wouldn't. It was usually for a price, but they wouldn't abandon a settlement or ship in need just because there was no promise of reward. Melias tended to find that when you helped people and did good things, then good things would follow. In the cargo hold, he joined the others near the lockers and pulled his armor free. It came in a small compartment about the size of his palm. He slapped it against his chest with a resounding smack, where it stuck like a magnet. Slowly, and with a slight clacking sound like 100 metal legs crawling over a hard surface, the suit activated and unfurled itself around his body in a slow, segmented wave. Part nanobots, part synthetic anhydonium fiber mesh, it acted as both a temp and grav-controlled biohazard suit, as well as armor. It had kinetic dampeners that absorbed blunt-force attacks and ballistics, so falling from a high point or being hit with ballistic weaponry wasn't as fatal as it could have been. That would help some against what they were about to face. Only Aaron, Nummer, Ixion, Ark, and himself had this type of armor, as it was rather expensive. In fact, next to the Goose herself and all the tech and equipment she needed and came with, this armor was the most expensive gear they owned. Red, of course, didn't need armor, as her suit was already advanced and couldn't be taken off, as far as they were aware. Nyath's Yorotan battle armor was strong enough, and she preferred it. That only left Vasya and Tomi, who didn't usually come on such high-intensity missions that required the armor. Unfortunately, they could spare no hands this day. The suits were form-fitting, but they were soft and comfortable, feeling like cool silk even through clothes. At least, that was Melias' experience with the armor. Comfortable and functional, a wonderful combination. The material was matte, so light didn't glint off it. His and Aaron's were both black. Ark, being that her people had a fondness for blue, wore a navy blue one. Ixion's was sage green. Nummer's was silver. All of them had the Sentinels' sword and shield symbol emblazoned on the chest compartment. Melias crossed the room to the armory, pressing his thumb to the biometric lock, which beeped and unlocked. He grabbed his dual-mode rifle with extra mod slots for stun and sonic rounds. Of course, he was planning to only use the stun rounds.
All right, everyone, remember, these people can still be saved, so stun rounds all around. Only use lethal force if necessary. Almost everyone we see will be a civilian. Aim for the legs or the head. Torso shots are practically useless.
These turned people were recently changed by the device, so he knew they could still be saved. Just from some brief encounters with the mindless ones before.